Welcome to Awakening Perspectives with Laura and Lisle Claire.
Welcome to Awakening Perspective. Today on Awakening Perspective, we're going to talk about stages of awakening. And with us is
Lisle
Claire and Laura Massey. How is everybody today? I hope everybody's doing well on this beautiful sunny day. So with this, we'll begin our broadcast.
Yes, I'm excited.
Me too. It's so cool. I'm excited about talking about stages of awakening because I believe that we're all, a lot of us, the people that are listening today, I'm sure are curious or have gone through this, are questioning what's going on. Why do I feel so strange? What's going on in the world? And I think that there's a lot of changes, a lot of new things happening, and now things. I don't know. How would you say it's like you're questioning, why am I feeling this? Why are all these things happening to me? Or why are things from my past coming back to me? But that's part of awakening. And it's not going to be very comfortable in the beginning, but once you get past all of that uncomfortableness, it'll start getting easier and easier, and you'll understand why you're going through this. But all of that will be purged out because...
Well, just thinking about our own experiences of when we were having our own signs of awakening and the stages that we went through in order to get through it, or to, the questions we had, all the issues that we had to deal with, but we didn't have any direction. We didn't have anyone to really rely on to be able to guide us for that, because the answers we were getting in the secular world was not meeting our needs.
And back then, a lot of people didn't, it was very hush-hush. You don't talk about anything like this. And many of you are probably wondering why all of a sudden maybe you have more intuition or synchronicities are happening to you. And you're like, wait a second, what, how did I know that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, things are starting to come out now because this is who we truly are. We can no longer hide this as we did in our past.
Even when you're in a relationship, or even with certain regular relationships, friendships, family relationships that are no longer serving you, or I should say, something just isn't jiving with your soul anymore to where you can put on this facade. Exactly. You're realizing that it is a facade and that you can't live that way anymore.
That's true. And I found that many people don't understand this, or they don't go through this until something like a near-death experience or some type of tragedy or something will kind of jar them into it. And then all of a sudden they'd be drawn to certain, certain methods or certain beliefs or whatnot, and they start questioning things, and then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they're like, you know what, this is what I believe, and for some reason I can see that this person isn't being authentic or whatnot, and they start going through these changes. And many of you have been wondering probably why you're not sleeping well at night, or why am I waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning? What's going on? Well, that's part of the awakening process.
Well, Laura, what was your first sign of awakening?
My first sign of awakening, I would say my first sign was being attuned to a lot of things, like seeing a lot of coincidences. My first hint of that was, and I started questioning a lot of things in life, and then I kind of put it aside for a few years, and then it came back to me.
Right.
And mine was, why do I know this? What am I going to do with this information that you're giving me?
Right.
Why is it important?
You didn't know how to acclimate it.
Nope, did not know. But then I realized I was talking to a lot of people, and people would come to me about issues, and for some reason, I started having deep empathy. That's what it was for people. I didn't have that jealousy anymore. It was like just empathy, like, root for the losing team, or that kind of a thing, right. Where I was drawn to helping people in that sense, but I didn't know to what capacity. And then the more and more I did meditation, the more awakening, more open I became. I mean, I can tell you honestly, it wasn't until this year that I actually grasped all of this and kind of put it together and said, okay, now I know all of this training and everything that I was going through, trying to figure out what my life path has led me here. Right. And it's to help all of you open up and just embrace your authentic self. It's has nothing to do with religion. You could be religious. I don't care. It's your true spirit. What's in your soul, and that's all this is about.
Yeah.
And it's time for our souls to remember who we are, rather than being under what is it called? When you can't remember things, you've forgotten things. I forget what it's called now. I'm drawing a blank. Sorry, folks. But yeah, amnesia. We're no longer under the amnesia spell. We're going to wake up and go, hey, you know what? This is what I do. You do have power to create things in your world. Your thoughts are very powerful, as many people say. You are made of energy. Just understand that. That's for another story. But just know that you are a powerful being and that you are loved no matter what you're going through in your life. That here at our broadcast, and both of us, we love you. We're all one. We're not separate entities. We're all one, and we all are true entities of the light and energy.
Yeah, I found for me that it was for what really opened me up to my true being and the power within that I held was a couple of life-changing events. And first of all, it was a divorce. Totally rocked my world.
Yes.
And here I'd been through my whole life before that. I had been stuck in this dogma of a certain religion that had these parameters that just didn't allow for certain things that I've been experiencing, or had kept me limited from being able to really access my true source, my true power. And then it was just like you were saying, a little bit here and a little bit there. You start finding and you start recognizing signs, and you start seeing things for what they really are instead of the facade that we all put on. And so like the life-changing events for me was initially, for my initial awakening, was a divorce, a split up, a breakup.
That does make sense, because it rings a bell. A lot of mine I was in a lot of traumatic relationships, and I think one day I just decided enough. Why is this going on? And that woke me up a little bit. But I just want to make it clear that waking up or awakening isn't an overnight thing.
No, it's not.
It happens through time.
It's triggered by a life-changing event.
Exactly.
It's triggered. But then it's a process. It's a journey. And it's not a short journey. It's what we are here to do throughout our lifetime, I believe. Yeah, so like when you, like, let's say you go through an illness that keeps you debilitated and really kind of shows you that, what you previously were living is no longer serving you because of the illness or depression, or even in spiritual encounters, like seeing a spirit or having dreams that come true. Near-death experiences, soulmate experience was actually my second full awakening, or part of the kind of in-between awakening that really helped to kind of propagate the initial awakening. Trauma and loss.
It's true. And
huge. Trauma and loss, when people lose somebody and then they start feeling.
Do you believe that maybe when people go through this instance that they're seeking answers and wondering, why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah.
And that's the thing, is whenever we go through these life-changing events, it's normal for us to ask the universe, or whatever you want to call it, questions. And then that's when those answers start coming. And as long as we are able to listen and pay attention, then we'll start seeing those answers coming. And that's what propagates the awakening process.
I believe that that's true. And I do believe that also during that questioning time, I didn't realize it at the time, but I do now, that when we question it, all of a sudden we get the answers. We just not paying attention to the signs. And it takes a long time. But then, part of this is you got to get rid of your old beliefs and things that you were,
Exactly. We live in through our life, just as from children on, our world, our functions, our foundations are all being created within our head on what life should be, what life can be. Yeah, exactly. We're conditioned from a very young age to build those structures
around a religion, our parents, things like that kind of hold us back and put these boundaries around us. And then we question, well, why is this and why is that? And although I was in the Christian sector, I questioned certain things and not expressed to me or told to me why is this being hidden or what.
Yeah,
For
me it was like, I was having dreams that came true, and I was seeing
me too,
spirits, and I was being told that, oh, I better be careful because this is gaining access to my thoughts, and well, and I'm going. I thought that scared me.
I was told that one time too.
And so, but as I was going through life, after being told that, I started realizing that my dreams coming true and I was seeing was actually protecting me and keeping me safe and showing me a path that I was going down to kind of guide me. And when the divorce happened and everything that I was told that I should do as a good wife wasn't sufficient enough in order to keep our marriage, the rest of the beliefs I had, and so which was kind of neat because it's almost like an earthquake on Earth. Are not well built, can crumble, so that you can then rebuild them with foundations and better foundations.
That's very true.
Yes.
I think that the definition, a religion is a thought form, something that you believe in, and the thing that you believe in on just a conscious level. So that type of belief is usually run by your ego.
Yes.
Because it's and spirituality or being spiritual has nothing to do with what you believe in, but everything to do with your state of consciousness and who you truly are inside.
Well, I like how you say that, and you separate spirituality from religion. And then what's that saying that you say?
I am a spirit having a human experience rather than I'm a human having a spiritual
Exactly.
experience.
Yes.
And that's very true. And,
yes.
A lot of religious organizations, eventually, I believe I see this happening, that they will be open to a new state of consciousness, where others will still have hardened beliefs and they will stand firm. And because of that, that is run by their collective ego. So no, this is it's run.
Well, I think when you are in a religion and you're doing those deep study, it serves you for that time.
It does.
And so I'm not going to negate that at all because I think that it was a big, huge part of my walk.
And by the way, don't get me wrong, folks. I am not against I am not against any religion whatsoever. I truly believe it's a great source.
But often what happens in doctrine and what is being taught is, because we all are human and can be fallible, and so we adopt these structures that limit us, and we don't necessarily get to see or feel right from the bat because we are being indoctrinated with those things, what our true potential is.
It's true, and let me clarify what ego is.
Yes.
And ego is identification with forms, physical form, thought forms, or emotional forms, or even words. When you think, somebody thinks, they hurt my feelings, because they said this and that. Well, how is a feeling going to hurt you? That is just a feeling. It's not going to hurt you.
It's an emotional construct that was built within your consciousness.
Exactly, yes. and it is definitely and living by your ego leads to total unawareness of how you're connected to this oneness, which all of us are connected to God, and sometimes we, forget of us forgetting who we are in this amnesia state. Suffering, delusion, negativity, all this stuff is all run. And also the ego believes in separation, that we're not all one. They believe that we're separate, that we're not connected to God. God is up there and we're down here. Whereas we're actually, God is in us, all of us, and He works through all of us. And that's how He sees what we do every day,
Well, with the concept of God, within my studies of growing up and in the religion that I grew up in, I was always taught that we aren't supposed to put God in a box, that, God is bigger than any problem we have, that we shouldn't. But yet, even though this is what we were taught, we still put God in a box because of the constructs in which we place ourselves and the relationship with God or the Creator. And when we go through the awakening process, a lot of times we have discomfort when we realize that there's differences in what we've been taught versus what we're experiencing.
Exactly.
So it's confronting those beliefs, those psychological structures, and those preferences that we've built for ourselves. And we're having to then face certain fears, and it's not easy. It can be actually very painful to go through that and reconstruct that, because it's almost like you're like ripping apart who you thought you were, the ego that you built of yourself.
And we shouldn't be afraid we should just let it go, because it's not going to help us in the long run becoming spiritual, because we keep falling back.
A lot of us are so vested.
And we'll go over how we can get rid of this limiting belief, or how we can get rid of this so that we can open ourselves up in another broadcast. But for now, I do believe that, the best way to get back to your oneness is we are connecting with our oneness, our consciousness, every time we smell a beautiful flower or we feel that breeze on our face. That is part of our oneness. All that beautiful stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh, thanks. But this is part of us. I mean, this is what God has created for all of us to enjoy. We are here, I believe, on this planet so that our soul can grow. And that's the reason why we're here.
Well, that's why when we go through these stages, the next stage would be like the questioning stage. That's the whole thing, is when we send that question out to the universe, we start getting those answers, and then we can start learning and we can start growing.
I think I read somewhere, I don't know if it was Eckhart Tolle, that said, what we know as reality is actually an illusion. What we can recognize, when we can recognize reality from illusion, then we are using our consciousness. Underneath the surface, what is the ego? A false belief of reality. We are all born in oneness until we learn to speak and think as others do. We tend to live by thoughts and beliefs of others. If we choose not to be as they are, we are shut out. And that happened to me a lot. Think for a moment, the first time someone said something to you that made an emotional impact on you. The words are played out over in your mind. Keep ruminating over and over. And I still have sometimes issues with that. I'm not none of us are perfect. Anyway, so your thoughts, sometimes it is called the self-talk. Perhaps it can be negative talk. And when you can rid yourself in believing everything the mind says and realize that they are just words, they are not who you really are.
That's right.
We tend to live by words. If we had not learned any words that were attached to a meaning, we would be much more in touch with our spiritual self.
And that's when healing can happen.
Exactly. And so now I've realized that it's hard, because of some issues I've gone through. And it's going to be hard for a lot of you out there. But just know we have your back, that all of us have gone through something, and it's not easy for anyone. And we just have to learn to just understand that is part of our plan and part of our learning experience. We have to go through this pain before we can understand why we're going through it. It isn't until later that, now I know why that happened. Now it makes sense. But just know that there's a reason behind a lot of the stuff that's happening, and we must learn from it.
Yes.
So, something that also rang a bell to me, and this is, I think from the same Eckhart Tolle book, where it mentions, here's a good example of something that's ego-based, or you're holding on to an ego thing. So let's say, for example, you have a ring, not just any ring, but a ring that holds great meaning and value to you. Perhaps it belonged to your mother. And then you usually keep this ring in a specific place. And then one day you go to get it and it's not there. So your thoughts, ego-based thoughts, begin to race. Oh, where did I leave it last? Who stole it from me? I don't know what I would do without it. Oh my gosh, my life is going to crumble because I don't have this. Then you start thinking, perhaps this person has taken it. I wonder if I should call the cops on them. Or then you start thinking to yourself, I'm sure that person must have taken it, or, So then you begin to think this is more than just a ring to you. It belonged to my mother. It has sentimental value. Okay, well, questions you ask yourself, do you realize that you will have to let go of that ring at some time in your life? How much more time do you need until you can let go of it? Will you become less when you let go of it? Will you be a lesser person because it's gone?
Right.
You're still going to be here. Has who you are become diminished because of the loss? No. So that's what the ego tries to make you believe, that all these things are going to happen, but it doesn't.
Yep. So whenever your beliefs or your constructs that you've previously created are smashed, and you're having to go through that process of reevaluating and like, okay, is this really something that I have to hold on to? Do I have to hold on to this belief? It's very much like that ring. Is it really something that's serving me? I'm going to have to let go of this at some time in my life.
And I know from many experiences that when spirits on the other side, they don't care about these materialistic things. They don't care about it. They're like, oh, nope, I don't care if you lose it. It doesn't mean you're disconnected. I'm still here visiting.
I've had people come to me in spirit form where, a family member saying, oh, they would turn in their grave, and they're like going, I don't give a crap.
Yeah, they don't care. They really don't.
And actually, I have a question for the audience. While you're sitting here listening to us and we're talking, we're giving these instances, I'd like you to think about what are the things that have really kind of triggered your awakening. What are some of the things that you were questioning? The things, the constructs that you had built that you had realized were no longer serving you, and in order to help you with your purpose in life and what you're realizing, what is true for you. I'd like you guys to think about that. Maybe even share that in comments below.
I just have a couple, two things to say before we close out this broadcast. Is don't take the ego too seriously. And when you detect egoic behavior in yourself, smile. And just remember that life isn't as serious as the mind makes it out to be. Okay, just remember that. And just like we say, you are a spirit, having a human experience. And just remember that, and that what you're going through is something that your spirit wants to learn from. And I know it may be very painful, but just understand tomorrow will be a different day. There's always, God makes tomorrow. There's always tomorrow, and every day you start off fresh.
Yep. We do put, as a human, we do have a tendency to blow out our experiences to be like this is the end of the world type thing, because of the fact that we think that we're human, just human, and we don't actually give the weight and the clout that being a spirit, or a soul, has, which has a whole lot more importance than our physical human experience.
I wish I knew this stuff when I was younger. I wouldn't have taken so much of this stuff personally, and all this, pain that we cause on ourselves because we live by these words. And it can crush us. If someone's heavy, they make fun of you. Well, that's not who you truly are. You just decided to come here at that size, to be that size. That was part of your learning experience, but you're not truly that, and
there's so much more.
There's so much more.
There's
So
so
with
much more.
that, folks, we hope that you tune in to us again, and thank you for listening to us.
Yes, when we come back, we will be speaking furthermore about other parts of the awakening process.
And
if you have anything that you would like for us to cover, feel free to put them down in the comments. We wish you all a wonderful day.
Have a good day.